Welcome back to Unverified. This is crazy. Welcome to July, by the way. It feels like June went by so quickly. We've got all three of us here. David Land, Tony Donohue, Kyle Cuthbertson. We're going to be breaking down, or not breaking down. Well, we'll eventually break it down. That'll be next week's show. We're going to be previewing Mid-Ohio.
Mid-Ohio, David. We're here in Ohio. OH.
Well, I'm not in Ohio yet. I'm not in Ohio yet.
H.
Yeah, okay. So
OH.
if we're setting the tone that early, Mom and Dad are going to be fighting a lot during this episode. We're going to be talking about the F1 movie. We're going to be, I'm sure, fighting about what's going to happen at Mid-Ohio. We're going to be fighting about Mid-Ohio. We're going to fight about Graham Rahal. It's going to be a great time. Bobby Rahal, my bestie on Twitter. I have many besties on Twitter, but he might be the bestiest bestie. He's the Grand Marshal. It's going to be great.
Are you finally going to ask why he blocked you on Twitter?
Well, I thought about joining that media conference they had. Was that today or is that tomorrow?
Was today.
Was it today? I could have dropped that then. No, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. He's not the first. He won't be the last. I still respect you, Bobby.
He's been looking good. He was driving around a Road America on a golf cart. He was looking pretty fit. I know he's had some medical problems, but glad to see that it seems like he's out in front of this. So there you go. We'll see him this weekend. I know Kyle's excited about that. He's got his Buckeyes gear on.
Yeah, that's tough. You can't. He's setting the tone early. This is tough.
What is a Buckeye? Is that the little chocolate
it's
with some peanut butter in it?
It's two things. It's that, and it's actually a nut. It is. They do actually fall off trees. There's Buckeye trees. It's actually a tree it's actually a nut. But yes, you'll find them in gas stations if you're going to Mid-Ohio. You literally, if you or find any there's a lot of Amish stores and shops, and they sell them too.
We should we'll take David to the Shawshank Redemption prison.
No. I'm not going anywhere with Jeffrey Dahmer. No Shawshank Redemption. None of that.
Okay, Jeffrey Dahmer is not just from Ohio, by the way. That's what Tony always wants to do. He wants to scare. If you go to the Shawshank Redemption prison, they got the little tube that Andy Dufresne climbed through in the movie. They got like the prop tube. You can go through the poop tube.
Is there poop in it though?
No, it was a fake prop. There can be.
There might have been. Yeah.
David, you want to go behind me?
No. Absolutely not. Definitely not with that phrasing. God almighty. What are we doing? Where do we start, boys? It's been a while since the three of us have all been in the same room, even though this is virtual for now. Where do we begin? I don't know.
I got my armor on. I'm ready to go.
Oh, that's right. No, now
kind of waiting for you.
Here's the thing. We gotta establish this early, and I don't know when you want to do this. We could do it right off the start. We could do it at the end. But Kyle decides that this is going to be the weekend he fights with everybody. It's been a tradition like no other, because like you adopted the David Land personality and grabbed the purple mic at Road America, but this is when you like embody like my fighting spirit, because you you like fighting with people.
Let me just set the tone again and just give some context, because I'm from Ohio. I'm specifically from 20 minutes away from the racetrack at Mid-Ohio. That is my hometown. If you are going to the race this weekend, you're pretty much going to my hometown. So, welcome to my playground. This is my track.
Worse than Iowa.
This is my track. This is my place. You need to know where to go to eat. You need to know literally anything about the town. I grew up there. I lived there for 22 years of my life before I moved to Indianapolis. I know everything. So welcome to my playground. Welcome to the greatest place on earth, minus Indianapolis. And it's going to be a fantastic race. I don't know what David thinks about that, or Tony, but it's going to be a fantastic race at a fantastic facility. And I'm sure nobody's going to complain about it whatsoever.
I've never complained about Mid-Ohio. What are you talking about? Ever.
Well, let's go to Cleveland.
We should go to Cleveland. Wait a second now.
Only if we go to both.
Well, that's fine. We need more races. Boy, we need more races. They're falling off the schedule like, you ever seen lizards fall out of the trees in Florida? That's what's happening to the races right now. We're running out of races.
Did they fall into your bed in Sebring?
That I did. That was tough. That was not fun. That was not fun. That was a quick. I don't think I had sheets. I think the first couple nights I slept, I was just freezing. That was fun. That was all good.
Look, middle. It's kind of, I guess, boys, the halfway point, or a little bit past the halfway point, with 9 races down, 8 races to go. But hey, I think first and foremost, before we break down the race coming up this weekend, happy 1 year to the hybrid. Happy birthday. First birthday to the hybrid. Just like most 1-year-olds, there's some to little joy. Mostly you're annoyed and don't like them and want to give it up. But hey, you know what? Happy birthday to the hybrid. 1 year old this weekend.
There's a lot of crying. I'm going to cry this weekend.
No, you're not. You're going to be so happy.
I don't think so. I mean, like, so hybrid. There's a lot of things that I'm kind of interested, because it is the 1 year anniversary of the hybrid. That's, believe it or not, that I think that's a story, because we've learned a lot about it in the past year, and we haven't learned a lot of good things about it. I think the biggest issue that I see right now is that there had to be a new tire compound created for the hybrid, which is harder, and has a smaller window. And the hybrid, in some ways, as it's been explained to me, one of the ways you can regen is on partial throttle, like coming out of the corners. So essentially, part of the reason that we see kind of like less exciting racing and kind of less like elbows out IndyCar racing that we've been used to is the fact that essentially, although this is a gross oversimplification, essentially the hybrid's being used as traction control out of the corners. So if you've kind of been wondering what's different, that seems to be one of the things that's like caused the difference with the racing. So it's not just the weight, it's how the system operates.
Which is crazy, because you'd think more power out of the corners when you're hitting a hybrid system would make for less traction than.
Well, but most of the time you're regenning, so that's when you don't have the power. And so if you're partial throttle and you're regenning, you're never going to spin the wheels, because actually you probably have less power than you would otherwise.
David, if I'm not mistaken, weren't you a big fan of this hybrid going in? What are your thoughts now, a year, and every track that we have gone to now has at least seen the hybrid?
I was a fan of the hybrid.
David wasn't a big fan.
Whoa.
He wasn't a big fan. I think what David was excited about is some type of change within the cars. I think that was the only, because going in, that was the only thing that was exciting. It was like, oh, look at this. It's a 15-year-old car, but look, we're adding something new.
Which possibly
might have some, issues with reliability, which it did. Scott Dixon.
It certainly had that.
It certainly did. Not in the best ways, though.
Continues to have that, by the way.
Yeah.
I think there's been some drivers, Marcus Ericsson comes to mind, that just haven't been able to adapt to the hybrid. A couple of drivers as well. Scott Dixon obviously has not been a fan of it. What has this given Alex Palou? Because he has been dominant over the last year, and I think he already has a 3-second lead on the field coming up for the green flag on Sunday.
Well, I mentioned the tires, and it's tire management now, and no one's better at tire management than Alex Palou. That's why he's so fast. That's why he wins races. That's why the strategy windows are so wide for him. That's why he wins races like Road America, because you have that in your back pocket. As long as he's in the top 5, chances are Alex Palou is going to win the race. So if he's further back than that, there might be a chance of someone else winning. But man, I think you're right, Tony. I think going into this weekend, Alex Palou is far and away the favorite.
I think he wins hybrid or not. I don't think that has made a difference in Alex Palou. But honestly, like something I would have said last week is, I feel like hybrid or not, since Detroit, we've kind of turned a corner on the racing, I would say. Specifically, the short ovals are great because we've added more downforce gateway. But the tires,
Iowa.
The tires, I think specifically since Detroit, Road America, I mean, I think Firestone has actually taken a positive step in improving the racing. And I don't know if anyone else felt that way leaving Road America, but I certainly did. I feel like the strategies throughout that race at Road America, it was completely different to what we've seen at other road courses. And I mean, like everyone was saying throughout the weekend, it kind of reminded me of thermal, honestly. I think the heat probably played a big part in making it a good race. And that's exactly what we're going to see this weekend. We're going to see a hotter weekend, maybe not in the 90s, but we're going to see hotter and really throughout the summer. I think the boring racing, basically in short, the boring racing that we were talking about early in the season, I think we've kind of turned a corner. I feel like with the tires, I think we're going somewhere positive.
David, let me ask you this. Take me into the boardroom for both Honda and Chevy. Honda, there's been rumors, roller coaster rides of whether or not they're coming back or not. They've won every race. Alex Palou's been dominant. The only races that he hasn't won were won by Kyle Kirkwood, as we already know. Chevy, obviously the hybrid came in, seemed like to maybe appease would be the right term, Honda, and maybe even in the future to bring in a third manufacturer, which we've kind of rumored on this show. I believe you did last week, David. But take me in the boardroom of the final 8 races for both teams. Obviously, Chevy wants to win. And I think Chevy wants to win Honda-sponsored races just as much as they want to win the Chevy-sponsored races. What does a Team Penske or what does a Pato Award, who won here last year, have to do to win this weekend's race?
You got to beat Alex Palou. But, I mean, less simply put than that. I mean, this is kind of unprecedented. I think we've talked about it a couple of times throughout this season, but as the season rolls on, I think it becomes more and more of a story. It's like, why hasn't Chevy won a race? It's not that they haven't been competitive, but I think what it comes down to be quite honest with you, and I'd have to look at this, and I think this will be something I will look at it because, your question actually brought up an interesting point in my mind just now. I wonder if it's the underperformance of the Team Penske cars that has really kind of shown a light on maybe some of the deficiencies of the Chevy camp versus the Honda camp. Because if you look at the last few years, most of the Chevy wins that I can think of are Penske cars. Yes, you get a Pato win every now and then, and I guess that's it, right? Am I missing a Chevy driver who's won a race that's not Pato or Penske?
I don't think so.
Okay, so when you've got Pensky underperforming and Pato, he's kind of been in the hunt, but not really. You're kind of sitting there and you really don't have a lot of Chevys that can win races. And if you look at a track like Mid-Ohio, like for sure, I think if you're Chevy, you almost have to win. If not this week, you've got to win one of those Iowa. I think Iowa's going to be where the streak gets broken. I don't think it gets broken here. I think a Honda wins because I think if you look at the depth chart at Honda, you've got Ganassi. And then behind them, you've got Meyer-Shank Racing running similar setups. You've got Andretti. Now, is Andretti as strong as they've been in the past? No, but Kyle Kirkwood sure is. And then even if those 3 teams can't get it done, I think I'm going to say something that Kyle will like. The Rahal team, they've had a step up this year. So I think you've just got enough depth on that depth chart with Honda that they're going to win. I think they're going to win. I could be completely wrong. Will Power, as you pointed out on Twitter, has been fast here in the past. Pato's won here. Pato won here last year. Would Pato have won if Palou's pit crew hadn't screwed up and he couldn't pass because of the hybrid? Probably not. But them's the breaks, and that's how Pato got the win last year. So I think a Honda wins this weekend. I think you're going to see the Chevy break through at Iowa. That's my opinion.
Kyle, we've got 90 laps. They gave us more laps at your favorite track this weekend. Any differences in going that distance? And obviously, as mentioned last by David there, the strategy down pit road and what we saw out of Palou's crew and Pato beating him out. But extra lappage coming up. We're going 90 laps come Sunday.
That's huge. That's everything that I've been asking for since they changed it. They changed it to 85 laps for a couple of years. And then recently they've changed it to 80. The last time it was 90 was in 2018. And now I'll honestly, one of my soapboxes that I always go on about is that the 2018 Mid-Ohio race is that everyone sleeps on that race. I will go back and watch that race constantly. I probably watched that race solid 20 times since it happened. Everyone sleeps on it because it was such a damn good race. Because what the 90 lap race is going to do is it's going to divvy up the strategies. You're going to have an actual difference. Now, it's probably changed since 2018, but there's actually a chance now that these guys are going to change up from being 3 stop versus 2. Because what happened in 2018 is you had Alexander Rossi and 2 or 3 other guys on a massive fuel run to do a 2-stop race and save a stop. And you had Robert Wickens on a 3-stop, just pounding the ground, going as fast as he could. And Rossi won that race because Wickens was having troubles passing Tony Kanaan in the Foyt car. And I think Matthias Lace as well. He got held up just enough, and Rossi held on to win. And then not to mention Bourdais just coming from the back and passing cars left and right, also on a 3-stop. So like the difference in strategy is what's going to lead to passing. And I've been saying for years that the Mid-Ohio race has been lackluster because look, if you put it to 80 laps, everyone can make it on the same strategy. So what are they going to do? At a track that's already hard to pass, you're not going to have any tire differences. You're not going to have anybody on any different. So if you split the field up on decisions, that's the only way to get this race to be good. You have to have guys on fresher tires pushing and guys saving. You know, in a spec series like this, you're not going to get fast cars and slow cars without divvying up the strategy. And that's why Road America was so good. Like that's because we got to get the tires to actually degrade, and we got to get the reds to be quicker, and we got to get the primaries to be slower. Like it's actually not that hard. It's pretty simple. And making this race 90 laps is absolutely going to save it.
I think it'll be a little bit like Road America, where the strategy starts early. There's been a yellow flag in 3 of the first 4 opening laps at Mid-Ohio. Now, the one time that it wasn't in the last 4 years was a wave off, but nonetheless, there's been a yellow. So I think we'll see some of that strategy really start to play early. Remember, we saw Malukas do it at Road America, and he bounced back for a pretty good finish. Renus did it, and then they pitted and then weren't supposed to pit. I think Renus penalized himself, or he didn't. His team did like 3 times at Road America, and he still bounced back for a 10th place finish. I think, and I'm going to, obviously Palou is the obvious answer. He's the favorite. We can root and rah all we want next week when he wins and we call it, but I think Scott Dixon gets it done this weekend. I've just been waiting for that punch through from Dixon. I thought that he almost played the fuel mileage right in Road America. Obviously, he didn't. He fell back to 9th, was leading with like 2.5 to go. But I'm just waiting for this Scott Dixon. Like, I'm pissed off at the hybrids on this car. I'm pissed off that my teammate is just kicking everybody's ass. And this is a place, as we know, he's been so damn good at, that I think Scott Dixon is going to get it done this weekend. But I'm with you, David. I just don't see a way, unfortunately, that Chevy wins the Honda Mid-Ohio 200 coming up on Sunday.
Nope. There's just too much stacked in the deck against them. I mean, I could see a Will Power winning this race. I think he won it a couple of years ago, right? So, I could see that. I mean, Santino Ferrucci.
He's got 9 front row starts, by the way. Will Power at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, but he only has 1 win.
His
whole career at Mid-Ohio. And it was during the COVID doubleheader, which was 75 laps. So this isn't Will's best track. I think the guy to look out for is the same guy who was good at Road America and same guy who was good at Thermal when it's hot on a natural road course. I mean, Christian Lundgaard. I feel like he said at Road America that the tire was very similar to Thermal. Obviously, Thermal, Road America, same temperatures. I just looked. It's going to be about 90 at Mid-Ohio. So a little cooler than those 2 races, but still hot. So we're looking at a hot race, probably around the same tire as Road America and Thermal. I mean, I don't expect anything different because when you look back at Road America, Christian Lundgaard, without the Joseph Newgarden spin at the very end that kind of messed up his strategy and locked him in the back, Lundgaard was probably going to win that race. It was Lundgaard versus Palou in my head. I think
is Lundgaard a finisher, though? Can Lundgaard finish? Yeah, he won at Toronto, but we thought he was in position at Road America to win. Couldn't do it. Faded at the Indy GP, where we thought that he was going to be a top contender for that win. Can Lundgaard and that crew finish it off if he's in position?
I think so. I mean, I think he's right there because, like you said, it was in position at Road America. And sure, he spun in the end, but that was after his race was over. He was gunning to have to make his way back through the field and into the top 10 because, he just pit at the wrong time and was off strategy from the leaders and probably was in the strategy to win until a yellow hit him. So I think he can. I really thought, I was really confident he was going to do it at Road America because he was driving to the front, had the fastest car, and Malukas hit his rear diffuser on the first lap, and he was probably lost a bit of downforce from the floor being damaged. So I think so.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in about an hour early so that I can walk over to the BC 39. Well, actually, I'm not going to walk because they want me to enter 30th Street, so I don't live in the Landcastle neighborhood. All right, so there's been a couple mentions in the chat about an Iowa test last week. It was pretty much a full field test. It rained. They had weepers, and they decided, hey, it was a Rahal test. So they went to Rahal. They said, yeah, we'll stay a couple extra hours. Then Christian Rasmussen knocked down the wall down the back straightaway. They're going for lower voltage, higher grip. Looks like everybody's going to be stuck to that white line. David, I know that you mentioned it earlier in tonight's show. Your thoughts on what we can see kind of looking ahead of that doubleheader at Iowa?
No deg, as far as I know. I wouldn't think that we're going to see. Again, I want to be surprised because last year I was so cynical going into Gateway, and Gateway was a banger. So we're going to cross our fingers. We're going to hope, but as you mentioned and others have mentioned in the chat, they've gone high downforce. They were on the low downforce last year with the I guess we'll call it the short oval wings, which we probably don't even use anymore anywhere. This test was run with the full downforce that we've seen at all of the other ovals, except for Indy. And as it turns out, more downforce isn't always the answer. The big problem with Iowa is still that the second lane doesn't really come in. And right now the tires aren't degrading fast enough. So you're going to end up with a parade. So I don't know what we're going to see at Iowa. It's probably going to be a parade. But again, everyone at a test, I'll say this. If you go to a test, you don't want to show that you can pass, right? You unless the series specifically told them to do it, and even if the series told them to do it and try it, if I'm a racing driver, if I'm a racing team that wants to win, if I think I can get up in the top groove, am I going to do it at a test when no one can see it and it doesn't pay any points or prize money? Hell no. So maybe it'll be exciting. Who knows? There's always a possibility. We never want to completely run off a race unless it's Mid-Ohio. And then, we'll see. We'll see what happens in Iowa. But I don't know. I'm not super confident coming out of the test. I think if you, I think track position is going to be huge. I think there's two things: qualifying and your pit crew that are going to make the difference at Iowa. And if you can nail those two things, you're going to have a good day.
Well, you sure as hell don't want to wreck on Saturday and have to be there till 3, 4 in the morning and back at 6 a.m. like we saw with Juncos last year in that opening lap crash. And I think you're right. You look at when we get to Iowa, my eyes are going to be on Pato O'Ward, Santino Ferrucci, Christian Rasmussen. Those are the drivers that will go to the top, that'll go to that second lane and see if it is there. I don't know how early we'll do that, and I don't know if that'll change overnight. Obviously, weather, I would imagine, Kyle, they will probably have a Friday night practice, and before that you'll have a second groove type practice like we saw in St. Louis, which is all good and well as long as it doesn't rain. But it was a dud last year. There was no doubt about it. It was just a crap overall weekend, to be honest. But here we are, going back to Iowa in a couple weeks, but that was the test that we saw last week.
Connor Daly was fastest in it. And I think that you look at the pace that he had for Juncos at Gateway, I think there's a possibility that you see Connor have a good weekend.
Hey, real quick in the chat, if you're talking with Caps, it makes me want to read your comment 10 times less than if you just send a comment. So I don't know. My microphone is turned down. A couple other things. We did talk about Rena's VK. Let's transition to this, David. We know that thermal is off the schedule for next year. I think we learned that right before we came on last week. There's some other rumors that possibly Toronto goes to a Formula E race next year. What does this 2026 schedule start to look like here over the next couple of weeks?
I don't know. And that's where we're kind of like running into some concerns that I have anyway, is I don't see a huge list of replacement races out there. I mean, we got a little bit of pushback last week when I kind of made a suggestion that Mexico City probably wouldn't be on the schedule next year. I guess there was an article, which I didn't see, that somebody said that Mexico was in contention to be on the schedule. Again, the problem with the whole Mexico City thing is, like, we're pretty late in the game, right? Like, when did NASCAR announce they were going there? Last year, right? I feel like it was around this time, and the fact that we just haven't heard anything, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. From the perspective of Toronto, that's not exactly been an old rumor. That's been a kind of yearly thing that, well, Toronto might be going away. Toronto might be going away. Toronto might be going away. But again, until I see something move forward on that, I'm not going to just sit here and say, oh, Toronto's going away. I could definitely see it would make some sense to see it go to Formula E. But I don't see Pensky Entertainment giving that one up. If anything, I could see that ending up with the Long Beach treatment, where maybe Pensky Entertainment swoops in and picks that race up from Green Savory to try to save it, because I think you do want to have an international race, I assume, or maybe you don't. I don't know. You know what's funny is, like, that's one of the races you don't hear a lot of people complain about. Like, no one complains.
It's always a good race.
Toronto. Yeah.
The only problem was that it's been on Peacock and nobody's watched it. That's the only problem.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And it was like, whenever you do watch it, it's a good race. Like, it's been a good race. One of the best.
It's been on Brickyard Weekend the last 2 or 3 years, has it not?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the other problem. Is, like, if Toronto went away, I'd be very sad to never go, because I feel like that's probably a cool race to go to, and I've always wanted to. And I feel like a lot of people share that sentiment. But the hype around it recently, because it's been on Peacock and nobody's watched it, but, like, it's been kind of light, and that sucks.
Mid-Ohio this weekend, going up against the Chicago street race. I think there's an hour difference in start time, and the race at Mid-Ohio last couple of years has been anywhere between an hour and 35 and an hour and 45. So the end of IndyCar will butt up with the end of the Chicago race. Now, look, I said this too. I don't think we're too far away from Pensky buying out Green Savory and having St. Pete, having Mid-Ohio, having Portland, if that does stay on the schedule. Richmond is always brought up because that's a short oval that I think could work on the IndyCar schedule. Watkins Glen has been semi-rumored, as well as maybe a comeback, and that would be one, David, I would say that you could probably announce sooner rather than later, like going to Mexico City, traveling down there, shutting streets down, doing those type of things. You want to hype that Mexico City race up, because you're going to have so much momentum with Pato Award going down there. A place like Watkins Glen and even Richmond, you rent it out or whatever you have to do to get there. I don't think you have to announce it too early in the game. That can be a later announcement. But what are your thoughts on maybe some East Coast love with Watkins Glen and possibly Richmond being out of the schedule? Richmond was on the schedule, and then COVID happened. Watkins Glen has been a staple. I would imagine usually draws a pretty good crowd. And it's the same with Richmond. Look, everybody screams we want more ovals, and I want more ovals as well. But when you look at 1,800 tickets that have been sold at Iowa, and they're throwing the kitchen sink at it to try to make it a better race, there's no concerts, there's no high V hype behind it. Everybody's kind of putting their attention towards the NASCAR weekend that's there. I've often said move one of the Iowa races to Thursday night and do it the week of the MLB All-Star Game. Have that hype from Fox since the All-Star Game is on Fox. Or if they do return in 2026 to the Field of Dreams, maybe you can do some cross-promotion with that in Iowa. But what are some tracks that we think realistically, everybody wants to say, oh, Kentucky or Chicagoland, it's probably never going to happen. But what are some realistic options if we do indeed lose at least 2 races next year? We obviously already know that we're losing one. And I would, of course, David, like to see Milwaukee back as a doubleheader.
Oh, boy, I've got a lot of things to say here. Number one, you mentioned or you floated the idea of Pensky Entertainment buying out Green Savory just completely. If they did that, I think we really have a serious potential problem with Pensky promoting every single race. Not that they can't or are incapable of promoting races. Actually, they do a very good job. The problem is, if they're promoting every single one of their races, I feel like hello, Boris. You just don't have enough bandwidth. Like the season is too compressed, and you can't give each individual event the focus that it needs. I think that's something that's been kind of nice about having different promoters is that, like, for example, last year with Nashville, they were on their own program. They promoted their own race and they did it. And the same with St. Pete, same with Long Beach for the longest time. And that's kind of where I'm a little bit worried about Long Beach in the future. Long way down the line, of course, but like eventually Long Beach might just become another race from the perspective of promotion and getting it going, because if every other race is an IndyCar production, well, then Long Beach is just going to be another step on that ladder and not necessarily a crown jewel or treated that way. So from that perspective, I kind of hope that we keep a few different promoters involved in the sport. I think it helps long term. In terms of Watkins Glen, you mentioned the lateness of getting a track like that onto the schedule. Well, we've already seen that before. 2016, that was exactly what happened with the Boston Grand Prix. That thing died midway through the season, I'm pretty sure. I think it died right before the month of May, and they came up with a solution. It was Watkins Glen. They got that together very quickly, so it's happened in the past. The problem with Watkins Glen is that the people haven't come out to support it, and so, much like the ovals, okay, well, the last time the IndyCars were at Watkins Glen, the crowd wasn't amazing. I think the best way that you could really get a crowd would be to pair them with IMSA in the 6 hours at Watkins Glen. I think that would be an awesome weekend if you did that. That would be tough because IndyCar would probably have to, so I can't remember.
It'd be the undercard, though.
They'd be the support race, and I don't think IndyCar would put up with that because IMSA controls that weekend, and it's a NASCAR track, so it makes a lot of sense that they would be the undercard. So IndyCar would have to eat some crow, which I don't think they would be willing to do.
No, absolutely not.
The
other problem with Watkins Glen is, like, just remembering back when they made that deal in 2016, I believe that was pretty much just IndyCar throwing a Hail Mary. And I'm pretty sure, like, they just full blown rented the track. If I'm not mistaken. Like, it was not like a hey, like, let's put on an event. It was IndyCar saying, like, can I rent out the track and post a race? That was pretty much what it was. And I think it continued to 2017, and I believe the track would want it. Like you said, I don't think a lot of people showed up. I don't think it makes sense. So that's why I don't see it. I wouldn't see it coming back.
That was a big, so even with the track, like the late track rental, a lot of that was Jay Fry and his relationship with Watkins Glen. So even, like, you can't just go and rent a track for a weekend. I feel like they kicked a series out, or, like, it was like Ferrari Challenge. I think Ferrari Challenge was there that weekend because I remember there was like a 333 SP driving around during one of the trials. I was like, oh, this is awesome. That sounds better than the IndyCars. But anyway, in terms of not Watkins Glen, in terms of Richmond, that is one of the few tracks that has been directly mentioned by Doug Bowles has been directly mentioned by Doug Bowles as a possibility that he would like to see explored for IndyCar. Doug has been pretty close to the vest about future announcements. If you guys have been paying attention over the past few months in his reign over IndyCar. So the fact that he was willing to come out and say directly, hey, Richmond would be a place we'd like to go, it would tick a few boxes, as you mentioned, Tony. It would be an East Coast-ish race. It would be in NASCAR country. It would be an oval. It's pretty short. The problem with the Richmond races, and a lot of people forget this, and I think that Richmond, with the current short oval package, would be a good race. But a lot of people forget that part of the reason that they left Richmond was that Richmond put on one of the greatest stinkers of all time, which was the 2009 Richmond race. It was awful. Like, it was everything that we are fearing the Iowa race is going to be. It was a parade. There was no passing. It actually led to some rules changes later in 2009 where they like packed a bunch of tell me where you heard this one before. They packed a bunch of downforce on the cars for the rest of the oval races to try to get the racing better. So Richmond, yes, I think it would work. It's pretty short and it's pretty flat for IndyCars. So that's the one thing that I would be concerned about with the racing quality there if they went there. But again, we're kind of late in the game. Like, when we get to July, like, the schedule last year was announced in June, correct? Yeah. So we're not anywhere close right now, unless they surprise us and announce it this weekend.
Hey, you want new races? Sorry, no Richmond, no Watkins Glen, but here's the Harvest Grand Prix returning in October.
I hope not. Well, at least as things stand right now, if you just lost thermal, and maybe you, like you said, shift the Iowa doubleheader to make it a Milwaukee doubleheader and just do one at Iowa, you're only and then you gain Arlington. So really, you'd keep the schedule pretty much the same, which is not exactly, I think, what we wanted, because I think you want more races in the first half of the season, and there doesn't seem, at least as we stand right now, there doesn't seem to be a solution to that problem, which is an obvious one.
Yeah, there is. Here's 5 more laps at Mid-Ohio and 10 more laps at Road America and 25 more laps at Iowa.
Well, but that in some ways, just as Kyle said, that's at least a solution that made some sense, that they came out and did that. I think it made it didn't make thermal better. Which race was increased? Was it Long Beach? Long Beach wasn't any better.
Yeah.
By them later.
Somebody asked, do you guys think all races will be kept on Big Fox again for next year? Absolutely not. I wish that was the case, but I don't think Fox looks at the ratings that we've seen and says, yeah, we're going to keep them all on Fox. I think you're going to see some races on FS1 next year. What do you guys think?
Depends how gung-ho they are on IndyCar. I mean, if Eric Shanks really is this huge fan that he is, which he seems to be, why not keep the commitment for one more year? I think a big part of why the Indy 500 rating was so high was the fact that there was a consistent broadcast channel, even if we didn't see that translate whatsoever to Detroit. I think there's something to be said about doing it and keeping it on Fox. But I won't say I agree totally with you, Tony. And I'm going to try to not be super cynical here, but I hope, I would say 50-50. I could see it going either way. I could see them staying on Network Fox all year next year, or I could see a couple of FS1 races coming in.
Do you think that the hold up in the schedule right now, as Cody Legler points out, is the World Cup is in the summer of 2026? So will we see an Olympic type break that we saw last year for IndyCar with NBC? Was that last year or 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. No, last year. It was last year.
Last year. Yeah.
Will we see that for the World Cup, or is that when some of these IndyCar races will be shifted over to FS1?
Well, I hope not, but I'm fearing that. I don't know. I don't know enough about soccer. Kyle, you're a Zoomer. Tell us about the football.
Well, I mean, the World Cup's going to take a while, and it's the U.S. TV rights are Fox. So at least from that point of view, I would expect races to go on to FS1 if there's a clash. Because, I mean, again, the World Cup only happens every couple of years, kind of like the Olympics, same deal. And honestly, at a certain point, I wouldn't be surprised if towards like the end of July, maybe August again, we did another break in the schedule like we did for the Olympics. I wouldn't be shocked, But I guess the question then comes is like, do you take, maybe not a month, but do you take, I think surely not a month, but 2 weeks off? Do you do 2 weeks to get 2 more races on Big Fox, or do you just go to FS1 and say whatever? What do you think?
Take 2 weeks off in the beginning of June for the 24 hours of Le Mans. It won't feel like there was any break whatsoever.
Yeah, but the World Cup, I'm actually going to look it up on when it starts.
I think it clashes with Le Mans. I do. I think it's early June.
Does that mean that we can see more races front loaded to the start of the schedule, like everybody's been talking about?
So we're looking at June 11th to June 16th.
That's Le Mans, right?
2 weeks off for Le Mans for sure.
June 11th to July 16th.
Yep.
Okay, so it's what? It's a little over a month.
Yep.
Oh, we're in trouble.
So that's where you would move Gateway to the end of April, like as I've been hoping for. Who cares if it's 63 degrees under the lights? Let them rip. Maybe we see, obviously, Arlington's in April. Any other tracks that we can see maybe be brought up in the schedule? Because, look, they've made their bet on this, especially with Fox. They do not want to go up against the NFL. That's evident with the season this year ending by September 1st.
Tony, it's a Midwest series. All these races that we're going to over the next 2 months outside of Portland and Laguna Seca are in the Midwest. It's snowing there when the season starts for IndyCar. So I don't see any, like, you could move Gateway, but that has to be late April, as you said. If you're going to move Gateway, you maybe could do Laguna. I think Laguna Seca used to be pre-May.
Bro, it's cold there right now. It's cold there right now. I couldn't imagine what it's like in April.
What, in Laguna?
Yeah, it's like it was like 56 degrees there the other day.
No kidding. I think I'm moving to Laguna. I don't know, man. I that's tough. So there you go. So that's not really an option to move. You couldn't move Portland. You couldn't move Iowa. You couldn't. I think probably you take a break. Hopefully you take a break after the Indy 5, maybe after Detroit, and then the teams that want to go to Le Mans, the drivers that want to go to Le Mans can do that. And the racing fans who just want to watch a damn race instead of soccer can watch racing. I don't know. I think that I hope that it's only 2 weeks if they do take a break. And I think, because what I'm worried about too is if they take a really long break to appease Fox with soccer, then you're going to run right back into the same problem that you keep having and keep running into, where the teams are going to be running roughshod with back-to-back races, and everybody's going to be miserable. No one's going to be having a good time, and that's just not a good combination.
Well, who cares? I mean, a 3-week break, didn't we have 2 of those to start the season?
Yeah, and how much good did that do? Weren't we just complaining about that?
Exactly, but obviously they're willing to do that if they have to.
Well, they're willing to do it. Being willing to do something and should you do it are two completely different things. I'm not saying I'm not advocating for 3-week breaks here. Hell no. I was talking to someone who used to work in CART a couple of days ago, and one of the things that was like different back then was when they was surprising was when they would do a triple header. Like the most that races they would do was 2 back-to-back back in the day. So like I don't know what's changed between now and then, but this is a little bit unprecedented that we race so consistently with Indy cars, like back-to-back. Like July, every weekend in July has a race, or at least like
5 races the next 4 weekends.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's going to be brutal on the teams. It's going to be brutal on the industry. And, it's a lot of travel. It's a lot of time away from your house, from your family. And that doesn't put anybody in a good mood.
It's a good thing you're single.
God help us. By the time we get to Portland, everyone's going to hate each other. Everyone's going to be mad.
Well, they're all going to crash in the festival curves. That's what we're setting up. We're setting up for a 20-car pileup and a Kiff Dog win at Portland. I'm calling it right now. Kiff Dog going to win Portland.
All right, we're about 45 minutes into this. There you go. You guys both went and saw the F. I know that you both are going to have differing opinions on it. Sounds like I kept that $15 in my pocket by not going last night. Kyle, we're going to start with you. Your thoughts when you went and saw the F1 movie and old Sonny Hayes going after it and Driven Part 2.
Look, all right, so spoiler alert. There will be spoilers if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want to know about this movie. We're going to go. I thought paper thin plot. The plot sucks. You kind of expected that. What made me mad, the negative part, is for the whole couple of years this movie was being made, I basically knew what the plot was going to be. It was going to be an old guy who somehow gets to drive an F1. Him and his young teammate were going to butt heads, and they were going to be mad at each other.
Did he hum while he was driving around the course, or no?
No.
Okay. He didn't throw any quarters either.
He didn't throw any quarters. He did talk while he drove though, and it probably yapped a bit much than a driver actually would at those speeds, but still. But the teammate and him were gonna, butt heads. But then by the end of the movie, oh boy, they're best buds. They made up, and things are, sunshine and rainbows. There were a few big accents along the way, a few There was one
few hairy situations.
There is one crash in the movie that is very reminiscent of Driven, I will say. But honestly, to get to the positive, and where David and I are probably going to disagree, the positivity for me is like this damn movie looks so good. Like it's truly Top Gun for F1, and the way they did the CGI over the real life footage, it looks so freaking real. And the scenes when like they're facing the driver and you see like Perez behind him, and it's very unrealistic when he's like carving through the field for F1. But like when you're in the movie theater and you have the sound of F1 cars, like your seats rumbling, it's on the big screen. It feels, it's so immersive. It's so cool and fun. Like the whole time, obviously, I'm sitting there going, I wish this was IndyCar. But like
they talked about IndyCar a couple of times.
They kind of shit on it in the end.
They did. Oh boy, they did.
When he was losing his F1 seat, they were like, "Oh, I could get you a test in IndyCar." They're looking for a new demographic.
They're looking for, and they need it. And they need it was the line. Oof, that was
tough.
he
was like, because of course they do, and it was like, all right, screw you guys.
All right, I just want to point something out that was so stupid. I'm going to talk. So I put my sunglasses on. I'm going to be Sonny Hayes here for a second. I'm going to walk into the car designer's room and I'm going to say, "Hey, Toots, I know you worked for Lockheed Martin, but did you ever consider dirty air?" Like the audacity of the driver to walk in and talk to the car designer and say, "Did you ever think about the dirty air?
We got to build this car for combat."
Combat. Did you ever think that the car needs to go through the corners in Formula One? We ain't building a straight line car. Like the audacity of the guy to do that. I mean, it was unbelievable. So here's my thoughts on the Formula One movie. It's stupid as hell. It's one of the dumbest movies I've ever watched in my life. It's so me being an asshole. The first race at Silverstone went. First of all, Sonny Hayes. How can AXGP test so much? I didn't think they were allowed to test.
He doesn't have a super license either.
I didn't think about that. Colton, make the tweet. Colton. Oh, he already made the tweet. Never mind. So Sonny Hayes writes the car off in the test at Silverstone, right? Automatically should have been disqualified. Like they should have. That's $1 million crash for Sonny. But they let the mofo race. Okay, so he does the movie thing. He does the movie thing. He's like, "Oh, I stalled the car." No, he didn't stall the car because Sonny Hayes is just smarter than everybody else. He's letting the field go so he can have warm tires. Somebody didn't tell Jerry Bruckheimer how Pirellis work. If he'd been driving flat out, going around the warm-up lap, his tires might have been warm, but the Pirellis are
to the grid.
The Pirellis are good for one lap, so he would have wasted his tires. I don't know. And so the whole thing was goofy. There's no doubt about it. The characters, they did, and that's the thing. He would have been tossed the hell out of that. It was Budapest.
Yeah, Hungary.
He crashed into.
He did it more than once, too, by the way.
Correct. He crashed into two different drivers.
At Monza, he waited in the pit lane for Verstappen to exit in front of him and hold him up.
They would have had a public hanging if he had done that in real life. They would have hung him. Like, he would have been dead. So you can't do that. There was so much unrealistic nonsense that I was just sitting there going, like, Sonny Hayes would have been banned for life like 15 times in this movie. Homie was way out of pocket. And I guess the funny part about this, you could definitely tell Lewis Hamilton was a producer on it because Lewis Hamilton is the final boss. Mm-hmm. And so can we just
appreciate that Lewis Hamilton produced this movie and in the final racing scene caused himself to wreck not only one but two drivers.
That was absolutely Lewis's fault, by the way. He drove poor it's JG, what's his name?
JP.
Joshua. He drove Joshua right into the inside wall. Totally Lewis's fault. And he allowed himself to look like an idiot in his own movie. So like credit to Lewis Hamilton, that was cool. But okay, so to your point, Kyle, I'm glad it exists.
Yeah. So all of these points are fun as racing fans, but let's not forget that David's an asshole. Right? It's not meant to be taken seriously. Because when Steve says this is how I felt when Days of Thunder came out, I bet it was. Because I watched this and I'm like,
sucks.
like 20, like I love Days of Thunder. I love Days of Thunder. It's stupid. It's one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen. But like, damn it, it like captured a time in NASCAR that was cool as hell. And in 20 years, I'm gonna watch the F1 movie and I'll be like, man, this captures when F1 was doing whatever the ballad's doing right now.
It will it will age. It will age okay, I think. Like, I think that the visuals, like you mentioned, are great. The problem that this movie has, as you mentioned,
it looks better than Ford versus Ferrari going to Auto Club for Daytona.
Well, for sure. Yeah. The authenticity, the authenticity when it was authentic was great. It just wasn't authentic enough. There was things that I'm just like, I don't understand how you make an F1 movie and you consult all the people that you consulted who know F1 and you came to this, you got this movie out of it. The one thing that I will complain about, like you mentioned it, paper thin characters, where like you have horny mechanic girl, you have Brad Pitt. I could not have cared less about the Sonny Hayes character, and I think they tried, like they tried to give him a character.
Towards the end, they tried to like make it like sentimental, like what are you doing this for? Like they tried. They tried.
I just want to drive. Like that was it though. Like he's like, I just want to drive.
Is it better than Turbo?
Yeah. Can I? Yeah, there is a movie about a snail winning the Indy 500. Okay, Kyle, there's a couple of things I need to say. This is my last asshole bit. Okay. Ayrton Senna was not driving.
Dude. Okay. So like. What did Martin Donnelly do to deserve to be like?
Martin Donnelly got absolutely. Poor Martin Donnelly. The guy has been replaced by Sonny Hayes. So just to be clear, Martin Donnelly had that crash at Jerez in 1990. Sonny Hayes is driving against Ayrton Senna in 1991, and they say it's 1993. But then Racer Magazine is somehow in the movie, and I don't think they started. Well, when did they start? 1992. So I guess technically you could have had Racer Magazine, but like the timeline, like they were. I don't understand. Maybe they decided to make Sonny Hayes younger as the production went on, and just like said, "Oops, we made the CGI for 1990 Formula One." But I don't know. That was kind of weird. They kind of
had to make the CGI 1990 Formula One, given that they used the freaking Martin Donnelly crash.
Well, that's right.
I thought it was crazy. I was in the theater. I went to the movie and saw it with my girlfriend. I leaned over immediately and I was like, "You're never gonna believe this, but that's a real crash. Like this is real footage of that guy. Like you're never gonna know or believe it. But like the holy
David, the reason why they cut out that end scene where the driver gets out and he falls over."
So I knew that was
because he didn't have his lucky card.
He didn't have his lucky card, which people are confused. Like I saw reviews where people were confused about the lucky card, and I was like, dude, so he was a professional gambler, and his dad taught him to gamble, and his dad died early. His dad died when he was 18 or whatever. Like, okay, 13. Like I understand the card. It's fine. Like it's fine. Setup and payoff. Like we're gonna be red letter media here. You had the setup and you have the payoff. Like it's like the rear jack man who became the team principal. What was his payoff? He jacked that car up when they needed to fix the rear wing on Sonny Hayes' car. But the crash at Vegas, which they filmed while I was in the grandstands, and there was a very goofy scene which you can check out on my Twitter. If you enjoy my Twitter, you can go over there and check that out. Is Sonny's like staggering around because he just hit the freaking catch fence and flipped his dick off. And so Sonny, like they cut it before you get to that point. But originally they were going to have Sonny like staggering down the racetrack and falling over. And well, I have immortalized that scene on my Twitter, but unfortunately it was not immortalized. Maybe it'll be on the DVD. I hope it's on the DVD. Because I feel like they cut my big Hollywood moment. I'm very disappointed because I was cheering for Sonny. I was hoping he didn't pass out, and then he passed out. It was very disappointing. But,
they still put movies on DVD?
Blu-ray or something. I don't know.
All right, is that enough of the F1 movie discussion? NASCAR had a pretty good race in Atlanta the
Tony
other
did not
night.
want to talk about this anymore.
We go to Chicago this weekend for NASCAR. Boys, we want to talk a little NASCAR. Do we want to wrap up by breaking down a little more Mid-Ohio? I know Kyle's chomping at the bits to wear his Ohio State this weekend.
Hey, Tony, NASCAR, Atlanta, NASCAR, Chicago. Don't care. Let's get into it. All right, Mid-Ohio is this week, and I'm so excited. Let's just bask in it.
Excited that you went with NFL films. You went with NFL films.
Listen, hey, this is my time. A lot of people don't want to talk great things about Mid-Ohio. I've gotten a lot of arguments over the last couple of years on this race. This is one of the best IndyCar races of the season. Here's why. Around since 1980, tons of history, and I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, the race doesn't even matter because we're going to be in the campground drinking beer regardless. You want to talk crap about the amenities? You want to talk crap about, being in the middle of a cornfield? Well, it doesn't get any better. You're watching a race at a track that is literally from the 80s. If you are a person who has uttered the words, "Oh, I'm born in the wrong era," or you've worn any vintage racing merchandise whatsoever and you don't enjoy Mid-Ohio, then screw you. I don't have time for you, okay? That's not how this works, okay? The media center's small. You have to go to the other side of the track, sure. But you know what? You're watching Alex Palou at the same circuit that still looks the same as when you saw Danny Sullivan or Bobby Rahal racing on it, Michael Andretti, Mario, everyone you look up to and that you wish the sport still was. We're going to a track where literally is everything is the same as when we want what we want the sport to be, all right? So, you know what? Yeah, you're still muted, Tony. So, you know what? If you don't like Mid-Ohio, I don't have time for you. If you've ever uttered the words, "I was born in the wrong era," and you don't like this track, go away. Don't go to the race. I'll be there drinking spotted cows, watching the Rahals race, and it's going to be a great time. Oh, by the way, Ohio State National Champions 2025. Thank you.
Wow, that was fantastic. Well done.
All right. Wow. Shout out to Charlie Kimball on that. You didn't put in Simon's career ender. I don't know why you use NFL. I don't know why you use NFL films as the background music, but I'll take it.
By the way, we didn't talk about they reprofiled Turn 4 at Mid-Ohio, so we the Simon thing will never happen again. We never.
Oh my God! Why would you say that?
Because they literally it's flat now.
Somebody go flip. Somebody go flip.
You can't jump.
It's going to happen.
Well, they could. Okay. It will.
You did it. You just did it.
I thought you were in love with Wisconsin after spending 3 straight weekends there.
Listen.
Yeah, it's just his entire personality now.
I am, but you got to remember where you came from, Tony. All right.
So you're camping. This weekend.
Yeah. No, the whole family's going to be there.
I camped there last year. I didn't mind it.
No, I'm not going to stink because there's a shower house at Mid-Ohio. The amenities are fine.
He's going to stink the media center up, everybody. Get ready.
We're not going to be in the media center. We're going to be in a frickin' trailer across the street.
I'm going to sit in my lounge chair with my computer and edit photos, outside like a grown man. And not
if we want to eat food, we're going to have to walk all the way across the racetrack to go up to the media center and hope the buffoons that are already in there didn't eat it all.
Well, I'm just going to cook my own food at my camper. I don't know why there's a reason to complain.
Are you taking the same camper, or is the family camping?
Family's camping. And
does that mean we have access to a golf cart?
No.
Screw the golf cart. Does this mean we have access to barbecue?
Yeah. Yeah, you two are invited. First, I'm going to say let's say 10 people to find me and ask me about the spotted cow. I'll give you a spotted cow. You have to be 21.
Yeah, that's insane behavior.
I think I'm going to get
if you look young enough, I will ID you, but I don't.
Kyle is going to ID people to give away.
I don't expect.
I'm going to go with the Java House Liquid IV mixed with some vodka this weekend since they're sponsoring the Laguna Seca race.
Incredible.
The Java House Grand Prix, baby.
There you go. All right, so Kyle's camping. David's probably going to be in the local Best Western, probably 40 minutes away because it's probably the closest one there is.
Oh, please. There's not that many people going to Mid-Ohio.
We need to do a Tony. What happened to the Tony D's barbecue meetup? Well, that's up to Kyle because Kyle's family owns a barbecue truck, but I don't think they're going to be there, right? Like you don't have a food truck set up there. It's just your family.
No, not a food truck. They're bringing some stuff from the food truck. They already asked me for a head count. You two are involved. I added you.
Oh, that's huge.
Oh, well, hold on here. I hate to be the guy, but we got to take Austin Lawton and we got to get a rating on your family's barbecue.
Oh, no, we can't do that.
That'll be excellent. Looks like Allie, a couple other people are going to Road America. Look forward to seeing everybody there. Quick plug.
If you're going to Road America, you're going
Mid-Ohio this weekend.
If you're in Mid-Ohio, get a David Land shirt. If you're also going to Mid-Ohio and you're watching the show, at me on Twitter. I'm going to make a list. I'm going to make a Google Doc of, like Google Maps of restaurants to go to in downtown Mansfield or just around the area. I'm so tired of people saying there's nothing to do in Mid-Ohio. It's because you're not looking in the right places.
Yeah, Kyle's going to be the PR guy
finding
for
the right
Mid-Ohio.
people. I've been trying to do this for years of there's so many good restaurants in that area. There's so many good places to go and do. Let me just find someone to tell you about it. I'm going to put together some lists, some sheets. I'll put it out and just listen to me. Just listen to me. I'm telling you what.
Well, I'm going to do Honda for lunch, and it sounds like Kyle's family barbecue for dinner, so I'm all taken care of.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
That's what I'm hearing. All right. Can anybody beat Alex Palou this weekend?
No. Felix Rosenquist, because he got a purple car. Felix by 2 laps.
Which would also be an Ohio W. Mike Shanklin.
You know what? It's fine. It's Ozzy. It's a purple car. We're going to do it.
We'll burn the place down if Mike Shank or Graham Rahal wins. So there's 3 cars that could give us a huge party on Sunday night.
Here's what I want from you Ohio people.
If Graham Rahal wins, I'll do the show completely naked next week.
This is how. Please don't do that. This is how we're going to save Mid-Ohio. All right, Kyle, you guys need to be the Tifosi. All right, you guys need to be so rowdy.
We basically are for Graham Rahal. I don't know if you've noticed this.
Yeah, but
since 2015 or when he got good, yeah.
Well, but you guys need to. But the problem is the Ferrari fans. They'll burn the place down if they're running 20th. So you guys have got to be equally passionate when Graham finishes 15th as you do when he's winning.
Oh, so they are.
That's my challenge to you, the Ohio fans. Burn it down, and then maybe someday we can get Cleveland back. We can bring real racing back to Ohio, and it'll be great.
It looks and it sounds completely biased because maybe it is, but look, there's some stats behind it. Okay, Graham Rahal has been in the Firestone Fast Six last 3 road course races. All right, he's looked good, and we're going to a track that he's won at. He won there in Atlantic in 06, won there in IndyCar in 15. So he's due about every 9-10 years. The stats are behind.
Will Graham Rahal finish in the top 10, boys? Will Graham Rahal finish top 10?
The last time the Ohio State Buckeyes won a national championship, Graham Rahal won at Mid-Ohio. There's a lot of stats that back this up. All right.
Get ready to take that David Land shirt off, Tony.
Yeah, get ready.
Ready to take it off.
There is no way on God's green earth that Graham wins this weekend. I don't dislike Graham. I would be happy with that, but it's just not there for him. But for sake of Kyle and
the Grand Marshal.
And why don't you tweet him and tell him you're looking forward to seeing him?
I could tweet him. He wouldn't see it, unfortunately.
Wait, hold on. So we talked about Kyle getting into it with fans last year. David's blocked by Bobby Rahal. I'm blocked by Marco Andretti. Kyle, are you blocked by anybody, or is this maybe the weekend it happens?
I'm blocked by Marco Andretti, which is very fitting, based on this whole episode and the Ohio and the Rahals. Fitting, but yeah, I'm blocked by
you guys just look. Marco and I get along great. I don't know why you guys can't get along.
He blocked me when I was younger. I was when I was like 13, 14, and I was like on my full blown Graham Rahal wagon, right? I was probably talking a lot of shit, and I probably deserved to get blocked. I don't know when it happened, but I probably deserved it. And as I've gotten older, I actually respect Marco a lot. because he is a nice guy and he has been good to us. So like, yeah, I was just on that probably
Listen,
talking shit.
I've been on the Andretti train. He was my guy in kart. Loved Marco. I cheered for him. Boy, was I disappointed that he got beat by an Ohio guy in the Indy 500. That was disappointing. That was unfortunate. Can't be doing that. I don't know. Like, the Andretti family seems to get along with me. I don't know why you guys can't.
They don't get along with the Rahal family.
Well, that's a good point.
I think Marco blocked me. We've gone back and forth a few times, but I think I officially got the block when I said that the only driver to lead less from the pole at Indy was Roberto Guerrero. And then
that was tough.
Alexander Rossi's former PR chick blocked me on his account, and I don't know how long I was blocked for. And then I realized it 2 summers ago, and I just called him. I was like, what the hell is this? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I don't think that was me. My bad. I'll follow you right back. All good. So we took care of that pretty quickly. But, man, yeah, all right, I'm going to go with an open mind here to Ohio this weekend. Hopefully people realize that the left lane is the fast lane and you can turn your turn signal and get to the right lane so we can pass you. Hopefully the Columbus traffic isn't too bad. Hopefully I don't hear too many people yelling OHIO and we have a good race.
Top tip. If you're coming from Indianapolis, this is what I do. Go up to Fort Wayne and go across. Way better than doing I-70 in Columbus. It's like 15 minutes longer. Just do that. That's my opinion.
I just hope I don't have to hear OHIO. Other than that, I'm ready to have a good weekend.
Tony walks around with a Notre Dame championship pin on his backpack. I hope a lot of people ask him how that went this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, ask Allie in our chat. She's the one who gave that to me as a nice gift. So yes, it is on my game.
We're not shy about it. Ohio State fans are meant to be hated. I love it. All right.
Yeah, don't go 2 miles an hour over the speed limit in Ohio because they'll bust your ass real quick.
Oh yeah. Hey, but not me. I have an Ohio plate.
That's true. David's got a New Jersey plate. They're gonna be like, this guy's just
I'm looking forward to seeing Kyle fight with people on Twitter. This is a year's waiting has come to an end. This is going to be the most exciting part about the weekend. Is that Kyle? He's gonna be searching. He's gonna have the Google alerts up, and the minute anybody talks any kind of crap about Mid Ohio, he's gonna be on the gas, baby.
He's gonna search IndyCar in Ohio on Twitter constantly. He's gonna be more addicted to his phone than Graham Rahal this weekend.
I'm gonna be like those the people who like don't own a phone, but they have like the tweet deck on the
he's
like
gonna have the tweet deck up. Oh my god. I can't wait, Kyle.
Hashtag IndyCar, hashtag Mid Ohio.
Hashtag Indy Rivals. Hey, if you want to tweet at Kyle, just use the hashtag Indy Rivals. They haven't used it in about 10 years. Actually, they haven't used it since Graham Rahal won a race. So there you go.
All right, well, we will see everybody in Mid-Ohio coming up this weekend. I'm off to check out the BC 39 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll have you covered throughout social media. I know David's just itching to get to that bullpen coming up on Friday and have himself a slice of lasagna at the Honda Hospitality. We're also looking forward to checking out. Man, I'll tell you what. I'm
nothing says lasagna like hot weather.
Hey, they better be. They
better
be
barbecue. I'll say this. I'm looking forward to having a spotted cow and having a Kyle family barbecue more than anything this weekend. How about that?
Kyle,
there you go.
Cincinnati chili? What's a Cleveland specialty? What can you get in Cleveland?
Pierogies.
All right, so we have pierogies. You got to tell me, because I don't know what a pierogi looks like, so you got to tell me, and I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat the pierogi, and I'm going to be like, we got to go back to Cleveland. That's my goal this week.
Cleveland sucks. Everything about Cleveland sucks. Smells like steel mill. The lake's
not the Burke-like front airport, baby. The Burke Lake front airport. We're going to go 10 wide into turn 1. We're going to crash the whole field. We're going to have Robbie Gordon intentionally wrecking people after the checker flag. It's going to be great. We're going to go back to Cleveland.
Sounds like what we did in Portland already.
Oh, no. Portland, no. That's not Cleveland. Not the same.
I don't think Cleveland's known for anything. The steamer, that's about it.
It's known for the Cleveland Grand Prix. I didn't have a video queued up like Kyle, unfortunately.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right. I'm going into Ohio with an open mind, especially if I'm going to get some barbecue sauce. We're going to have a good time. Follow us all on social media. Kyle, tell everybody where they can find you this weekend. See if there is any complaints when they're in Mansfield, Ohio.
My hats are down here. This is my Twitter. and my YouTube.
That's crazy.
This is my Instagram.
He's
right there.
just inviting it. He's letting them know.
Listen, I hope it's less fighting and more asking me for advice on what they should do in beautiful Mansfield, Ohio. Which honestly,
the best thing
I like it, but I did leave it. I do live in Indianapolis, so I just want to get that out of the way. But I know what to do. I know where to go. I know where to eat there. I know how to make it an enjoyable experience.
The best thing about Cleveland was the movie Major League. Voltage is correct.
Well, Kyle's going to act as a travel agent. I got DL 500 Club tomorrow night, and it's going to be my first IndyCar race in person since Detroit. So looking forward to causing all sorts of havoc in the paddock. That's what we're going to be up to this weekend on the David Land channel. What about you, Tony?
The podcast yesterday kind of dove a little bit more into some of the silly season stuff, which honestly, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, is probably going to be a little bit simmer down, so to speak. Remember last year was kind of crazy. This year, the biggest domino to fall is Will Power. Maybe we'll learn some more information about that. Seems like right around August 1st is when we really start hearing some rumors and things moving across the board. But I dive in a little bit more about what to expect at Iowa coming up and Mid-Ohio this weekend. So I'll be there at some point this weekend. Who knows when? Probably maybe just a Sunday show up, have some barbecue and bail. But we certainly shall see. For Kyle, for David, this is Unverified. Thank you so much for watching here on a Tuesday evening. Like and subscribe.
Combat. There you go.